monkey like you. Old monkey like you.
Hey guys, what's up? It's me, the Meteor Raptor, and this is my buddy.
Hi, I'm Dragonis Prime. You can call me Jacob, though. I
All right.
genuinely do not care.
Cool, works for me, and we're back with the final episode of Marvel May, even though this might come out like the 1st of June, but shut up, I was busy playing Injustice 2. So, today we're going to take a look...
Good. Who's your main?
Scarecrow, definitely. Scarecrow, Bane, Deadshot, I have a bunch. But today we're going to take a look at everyone's favorite X-Men movie, X-Men Origins, well... Let Jacob.
Awful.
Yeah.
X-Men Origins, awful.
Or in other words, X-Men Origins Wolverine. So before we begin, I actually didn't see this movie when it first came out. I only ever saw it for the first time last year. Part of that was because of the hate I kept getting. And part of it was never on TV, and part of it was I was too lazy to go out and try and find a copy of it.
Fun fact from behind the scenes, the reason it's not on TV is because it gets horrible ratings and it's a waste of the block.
I can believe it. But my big question is it really as bad as everyone seems to say it is?
Yes.
Mostly. Now, to this movie's credit, it does have some cool stuff in it. I would be lying if it said, like, that helicopter scene wasn't cool.
Okay, that was pretty
The intro scene was pretty cool, aside from what Ryan Reynolds was doing. If they just put a mask on his face, it would have been better.
Yes.
And this tends to get a lot of people really pissed off of me, but I don't even mind the final battle against that Deadpool thing.
The reason I don't like it is because it was Deadpool, apparently. I
call
would have
it-
been okay with it if they had just called him Weapon 11.
I call it Protopool, or Dead Proto. Now, there is kind of an interesting theory I've come up with about that scene, and it's this. Wade Wilson, it's pretty odd, like they've confirmed that's him. What happened is that, because we don't really see all the stuff he goes through during the Weapon X program in the actual Deadpool movie. For all we know, he could have gone through all that. He could have become that Protopool during the movie, and they just didn't show it.
Except he didn't, because Protopool was in the 80s, and Deadpool was in 2016.
Oh, right, timelines, yeah. Look, these movies' timelines are about as confusing as the Alien timeline when Alien Covenant came out. Anyhow, let's just talk about the writing.
I mean, to quote Deadpool, you can edit in the clip here if you want, but I'm just going to say it anyways. McAvoy or Stewart, these timelines are so confusing.
Yep, exactly. So, story-wise, I gotta give it credit, it had a really cool idea. Because we all know Wolverine's origin story. We all know the story about how he went to a lab and they gave him the medal. A lot of people, though, don't know the story that came before that. They don't know his backstory. They don't know... A lot of people I know think he always had... He was born with the metal claws. That people don't know that he had the bone claws.
Except, quick comic book thing here, he didn't have claws in the comics originally, they were gloves.
Yeah, that's weird. Glad they changed that.
Mm-hmm.
But, anyhow, as I was saying, so I gotta give him credit for at least... For starting the movie in, like, the 1800s and actually giving us this backstory about what happened to his real family and to everything that happened. That was a pretty cool scene.
Except, minor gripe here too, he and Sabretooth are not brothers, they met as enemies.
They're not brothers? What?
Yeah.
Wait, since when have they not been brothers?
Every single comic book incarnation of the two, including comics, other media, such as cartoons, animated movies, they met as enemies. They are not family at all.
I did not know that. We should probably keep going with the review. So, what did you think of the story?
Well,
let's not focus on the comic inconsistencies. Let's just talk as if this was its own thing and the comics never existed.
alright, I really like the war montage.
Yes.
That was beautiful. I like how we get to see Victor's slow descent into just
Jealousy
evil.
and what he wants to become, like...
The thing I like about all three Wolverine movies, is it okay if I make a minor Logan spoiler here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that every movie's villain is an evil version of Logan.
Pretty much.
So we got Sabretooth in this one. In the
Silver
next
Samurai.
one, Silver Samurai. To quote Cinema Wins here, a physically powerful beast made even stronger by adamantium. And then in Logan, it's
Dakin.
X24 is the technical name. It's Dakin.
They just didn't use his name for some odd reason. I think that was
Apparently they have plans for the character. In
Oh,
the future.
cool. Thumbs up. But yeah, so I think this movie had a lot of real potential. Again, I think Fox kind of decided. I think Fox's big mistake was the fact it's not even the writing as much. It's more the casting and the
Studio interference.
Exactly. See, Fox had a really good idea, was to tell this cool origin story about Wolverine kind of coming to terms with who he is and how he would eventually become like the leader of the X-Men and all that kind of stuff. What happened was we get a whole movie about him and a bunch of other mutants who never show up again in any movie.
Mostly because they're all dead.
Yeah, or, their movies are in development hell. Okay, man. But essentially, we get these characters like Blob, we get that Will.I.Am character. Seriously, why did they cast Will.I.Am? It's weird. I don't remember the character's name or anything about him, but I remember he was played by Will.I.Am, and he did a terrible job. Much like his music. Anyhow, but I think what they really wanted to do was almost to try and make an X-Force movie before Deadpool was a thing. And the thing is, without a real good Deadpool to back it up, we have no X-Force.
And they didn't use any of the other recognizable characters like Phantom X, Psylocke.
Yeah, and I think that was done because this movie was kind of... Another big problem with this movie is it came out at the worst possible time. Take a look, not at Fan Four Stick, at the other two Fantastic Four movies. Take a look at the X-Men movies that came before this. At the time, studios didn't want characters to have like yellow and blue spandex. They didn't want Galactus to be this giant purple guy. They thought people wouldn't like it if it looked so stupid.
But that's a Cloud instead.
Exactly, that's the thing. The studio interference to try and make the movie better ultimately made this movie worse. And this was before the Avengers, which essentially gave the middle finger to the studio and said, we're doing this our way, and we made billions of dollars doing it.
Fun fact, you may not have known, Disney had control of Avengers. They had the creative control. They could have vetoed anything. What they did instead was said, hey, we should put more Hulk in.
Yeah.
Let's do Hulk versus Loki.
Yeah.
And that's the reason we have the...
Puny guy.
Yeah.
Like the most quoted scene in that movie.
Also, they were the ones that suggested that Downey be allowed to ad-lib more often, and that's A, the reason we've got the amazing blueberries scene, and B, the we have a Hulk line.
Yeah. So, I don't know why Fox seems to think that constantly controlling everything will make their movies better. And I'm kind of glad they did learn their lesson with Deadpool and with Logan.
No. The three best X-Men movies, Logan, Deadpool, First Class. I'm going to get some flack for that, but...
I liked First Class, not gonna lie.
Those three movies are revered as the best.
And
And they were the ones with the least studio involvement.
So, Fox, let me give you a quick heads up here. You want to ever do another Fantastic Four movie? First off, please don't. No one likes those characters. No one ever has, and we won't ever like them because they are the worst characters Marvel's ever made. Even Stan Lee isn't a huge fan of them anymore.
And he's the one who made them.
Exactly.
The best thing that's come out of the Fantastic Four recently was the Thing punching Amadeus Cho.
Well, I thought it was them dying, but that works too.
Uh-huh.
Okay, anyhow, but... And this also goes for Sony. Like, you guys are working on the Venom movie. Learn from what Deadpool did. Just make it what the comic is. Make it what the fans want.
They're doing an R-rated Tom Hardy. So...
Okay, I guess this
That's how you
message
do
is
it.
totally in void. But we're getting way off topic. I think another big problem this movie had is it wants so hard to be an action movie. And the X-Men have always had big action scenes, don't get me wrong. But there are some scenes in this that are just stupid.
Like, look at the other Wolverine movies. Logan and the Wolverine.
Sure.
Did action scenes right. That chase in Tokyo in the Wolverine,
Or on the train, yeah, that's awesome.
those were beautiful.
Yeah. Or
X-Men
like,
Origins Awful was shot too much like a classic 80s action flick.
which I'm not against. I love those movies, but with Wolverine, like, again, probably my favorite scene is also the worst contender for this, is the scene where he ends up on his bike and then he flies headfirst into the helicopter.
That's a cool scene.
It's cool, but it's not Wolverine. See, if they had used Colossus like they tried to in the third movie and had him throw him, that would have worked. But then again, considering the timeline, Colossus ain't even in this thing.
Except Cyclops was and lost his eyes, but then...
Jean Grey... No, not Jean Grey. Emma Frost was...
No, that's not even Emma Frost. That's her sister.
What the hell, man? Oh, so speaking of
Yeah.
which, please stop using Cyclops. He's a terrible character.
Okay, I liked Cyclops.
No one does anymore, though.
I liked Cyclops before. then the movies have ruined him for me.
Aside from Apocalypse, they kind of did him a lot better.
Okay, Apocalypse did him pretty good.
Yeah, but anyhow, our point is, a whole lot of characters are in this movie that shouldn't be.
Okay, so X-Men Origins Wolverine's action scenes should have been the Quicksilver scenes in Days of Future Past and Apocalypse.
Age of Ultron even, like...
Yeah, Age of Ultron.
It should
Ish.
I'm not saying they need to be funny, but like that is a good action scene.
Quick showcases of the characters' powers.
See,
Like the
the
boat
highway
scene. The boat scene from Captain America Winter Soldier.
Yes.
That's how you open something. Because fans were like, okay, Wolverine's cool, but this is kind of iffy before Wolverine, and that kind of killed a bit, and Jackman was a little more hesitant to do movies afterwards.
Yeah.
But if X-Men Origins Wolverine had started with a scene
Like Logan. That was the way you start a movie.
That's how you start a movie.
Yeah. But a lot of this is also probably coming from two guys who spend way too much time reading comics and overthinking comic book movies.
Yes.
But our points are incredibly valid when you think about it because we're the ones who make these movies successful.
Yeah.
So as much as we can hate on this movie, it's also our fault because we kind of made it a financial success. Because no matter, even though it was bad, it still made its money back.
I'm the guy who has seen Deadpool almost 50 times at this point.
That's
And
sad.
I still laugh every time.
Yeah.
Because it is a good movie. I love the action scenes in it. Even the really slow-paced scenes.
But
at
you know what
Weapon
else?
X.
You know what else it got right? The
What?
characters.
Deadpool.
Look at Wade Wilson. Look at Wolverine. Look at his girlfriend. I forgot her name. Look
Vanessa.
at Saber. No, not Deadpool's girlfriend. The girl in this one who was
right.
whoever she is. Look at that mind control
Kayla.
girl.
Kayla.
Yeah. And look at Sabretooth. In this one in particular, all the other X-Men movies, they went out of their way to make sure that these characters are written as close to the comics as possible, to make sure you like them, you root for them, you want them to live. This one, they made Wolverine, you're just kind of sitting there like, oh yeah, he's kind of cool, but you don't feel a connection to it. Sabretooth, it would have been awesome if we were like, oh, this guy is cool, and you start
I
to feel
like
bad.
Sabretooth.
Yeah.
Liev Schreiber is incredible as Sabretooth.
Yeah.
But so much so that fans wanted him back for Logan. He was gonna come back for Logan, but the director and Hugh Jackman were a little iffy because of X-Men Origins Wolverine.
See,
If
and
the movie had been just a little more well
No, not even the
received-
movie. What they could have changed, they could have made it
too.
you feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Like you start out liking him, but then when you see what he wants to be and you understand he can never have that, you'll feel bad for him. That would have made him totally warranted for Logan because this would have been the scene. There could have been an awesome scene either when they fight or the two of them have to actually say goodbye.
That
when they have to
would
set
have
aside everything they've been fighting over for literally 50 years
And
now
the
in
thing
the
is,
movies.
Liev Schreiber still looks like he did in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah, so bring him back. New Mutants.
Bring him back.
Yeah, Gifted, that TV show. Bring him back. Just,
Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
Or you know what?
What?
Let X-23 age a bit. Have Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth in the
Mentor.
Mutants mentor.
But not like I'm gonna be like your best friend. Be like, you know
Be
what?
like,
Logan and I
okay,
had our differences, but you
We
know
had
what?
our
You don't
differences.
deserve the life that we had. I'm gonna teach you to survive.
yeah.
And then Deadpool
And
shows
I
up
would
like,
love
hey
that.
guys, remember X-Men Origins Wolverine? This is the same guy. And then he runs off.
And I would love that.
That wouldn't happen,
Do
but
that
still.
in X-Force.
Yeah.
Do not recast Logan. Leave him be now.
Yeah, they actually have
Use-
said it's gonna be like 10 years before they
Yeah.
recast Wolverine.
Leave that.
Oh wow, someone put coffee in here.
Oh,
It's
cool.
hot chocolate. I can't. No, that's tea. Ew, that's even worse. But you know what else is another big problem with this movie? The casting. Now, Lee Schreiber and Hugh Jackman,
Liev
perfect.
Schreiber, great. Ryan Reynolds is an
Amazing as
amazing cast
Deadpool
for Wade Wilson, but
and
not
Deadpool,
as
but not as this
Weapon
version
11.
of him.
That wasn't even That wasn't even him. That was not Ryan.
That's why I
Reynolds.
said version of him.
That's not actually Ryan
Oh,
Reynolds
wow.
playing him.
Okay, cool.
That is the same stunt guy who played Darth Maul.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could be here for another hour talking about how this doesn't work for Deadpool, but I think we need to get moving, otherwise this movie will go on forever.
Yeah.
But when you look at some of the casting, though, like those two are perfect, and then we get to characters like Will.i.am. We get
Gambit was okay.
Gambit was okay. Channing Tatum could do much better if they finally
Yes.
get the movie going. The guy who played the Blob actually kind of worked in kind of
Yeah.
a comedic relief kind of way.
Yeah, it was good.
And I think it
he
worked
wasn't
because
the level of comic relief like Nightcrawler was in Apocalypse or.
No, but he's still.
It was still good. I liked
He was
it.
meant to be like the comedic relief scene. He wasn't meant to be there the entire time.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but the two old people, I don't even remember their names, but like Logan
They're
Statham.
the same people that played Ma and Pa Kent in one of the old Superman movies.
Thing is, The second they came on screen, I'm like, wow, I feel incredibly comforted by them. I wish they would stay around. And then they died because of that Asian or Korean guy, and I'm like, damn it, I hope they kill him. And when they did, that was
Asian
awesome.
/ Korean guy was going to be Phantom X, but the studio got iffy about it.
I think your
That would've
catchphrase
been-
in this.
Yeah, I would have loved that. I would have liked this movie more if they had just called it X-Force.
And you know what's worse? You know what the worst part is, aside from the special effects? Let's just go through that real quick.
Okay.
The effects in the claws, oh my gosh.
claws
It's
were
2009, they've been doing this since 2001.
The
How hard
Iron
is
Man
it?
suit looked incredible. I mean, sure, that thing was mostly practical. Yeah, the Iron Man suit in Iron Man 3, mostly practical. But look at the Ironmonger.
Look at Silver Samurai! Yeah.
That was okay.
But like the explosions actually aren't that bad. I
they
gotta
weren't
give
that
them
bad.
that.
Apparently, they had Michael Bay consulting for this.
Yeah, cool.
That's kind of funny.
But you want to know what the worst thing is? Like, really, the effects, like the makeup and the costumes are actually decent. I was surprised.
Most of the stuff is practical.
Aside from Proto-Pool is what we're gonna call him.
Proto-Pool, totally practical effects.
Yeah, no, he looked okay,
That was
but
good.
it's just the fact that it's supposed to be some
Yeah.
form of Deadpool. No.
The Blob was practical.
Yeah, that was really
That
good.
was good. Just do what they've done in.
Even his bone claws looked way better than the metal
The bone claws looked good.
And like the
because
scene
the
where he
reason
breaks
the bone
them and it
claws
looked
looked good.
painful, man.
The reason the bone claws looked good, they were practical.
Yeah. Look at Deadpool. Half of that was practical.
The only thing CGI about the Deadpool suit and the new Spider-Man suit,
Is the eyes mainly.
the eyes and the
mouth.
mouth,
the
so they
movement.
can emote.
Yeah. But you want to know what the worst part about X-Men Origins Wolverine is, and the part which really annoys me and makes me mad every time I watch it. This was going to be the first in a trilogy that would have been the greatest trilogy ever.
Mhm.
You want to explain this, or should I?
All right, so we were going to get an X-Men Origins for Magneto. We were going to get an X-Men Origins for Professor X. And apparently with those two movies...
And Wolverine, that'd be 3 of them.
Yeah, that would have been 3. Apparently with those movies, particularly Magneto, Fox was going to try to broker a deal with Marvel to cross over with Captain America the First Avenger.
How cool would that have been?
They would have made a new-ish timeline, found some way to make it work in canon with the MCU. That would have been amazing.
Would have been better than Secret Empire.
Everything's better than Secret Empire.
Even this movie is.
Proto-Pool is better than everything in Secret Empire.
Gotta give it that. But it's just, we had such an amazing potential, and yet, this movie.
Fortunately for us, though, the
movie
cancellation of X-Men Origins Magneto and Professor X gave us First Class.
And Deadpool.
And Deadpool.
We have to thank this movie. I never thought I'd say this, but we have to thank this movie for one thing, and that's Deadpool.
And we can thank Deadpool for the best Wolverine movie ever,
Logan.
Logan.
And we can also thank it for Venom.
Venom's coming.
Deadpool 2. Like, all of these
Deadpool 2 's
awesome
coming.
R-rated superhero movies that are coming because this movie... because
Apparently
Deadpool
the
is so
new
good.
Batman movie might be R-rated.
Yeah, potentially.
Just so they can show some really cool stuff.
Like Red Hood. They actually
Like Red Hood.
confirming him.
I have a very short list of characters that should always have, like, if they get a solo movie, it needs to be R-rated.
Hellboy and Spawn are getting R-rated
Hellboy and
movies.
Spawn, yes. Logan,
Lobo.
Deadpool, Lobo, Venom, and
Carnage.
duh. And I'm okay with Batman being R-rated. If you get the right story and the right villain.
Like Killing Joke.
Killing Joke.
Except that first third of that crappy animated movie.
That was...
The rest of it was awesome, though.
The rest
But
of it was
look,
really
look,
good.
when it comes down to it, it's hard to recommend this movie.
It's really hard.
I can, and let me explain it to you. This movie has a lot of things wrong with it.
But it
in a
does have
backwards
some
way,
stuff going
yeah, in a
for it.
backwards way, it's almost a so bad it's good movie. And part of what makes it work, unlike the Hulk movie by Ang Lee, is the fact that they've been doing, like, they've done 3 other X-Men movies before this. And it's kind of funny how it's like, wow, how could they possibly mess it? Holy crap, they really messed this up. And but if you want to see what, and this is, I also do have to give Fox credit because they were at least willing to try this, and this movie did give us a lot more. So overall, I can really only give it 2 Raptor Claws out of 4 because not even 2 generous. It's 1.5 out of 4. It's really a bad movie. It is the worst X-Men movie to date, and I don't think.
I mean, Last Stand's a bit of a contender for
no,
that.
I like Last Stand.
Okay.
I like Last Stand. Why is
Last Stand was okay.
Go check out my review of it.
But they
link in
made
the
Juggernaut a
description.
mutant.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing I want to point out, I'm not sure if you pointed this out in your the Wolverine
Yeah.
video. Little retroactive thing here. There's a scene in that movie where the psychic clairvoyant mutant girl,
Yeah.
she says to Logan, "I see you on your back. There's blood everywhere.
Holding your heart
is
in your hand, and then when he dies, he's holding Logan's
That's
hand.
exactly
Yes.
it. That's
Honest trailer.
That was the plan, apparently, from the beginning. According to the director, James Mangold, that was the reason they put that in.
Yeah.
So they could do that in Logan.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want previous movies
To
to
connect.
have an impact and not on what is the origin of Wolverine's leather jacket. Brrr.
Yeah, but like, look at and that's kind of why I really love Days of Future Past, because it means essentially everything's been rebooted. Everything. And it's a reboot done right. So you know. Sorry about that. My friend at the jet, the memory card got full. So I was going to review Fantastic Four, the new one, and Doctor Strange. Didn't get around to it. Probably will later this year, just for fun. I want to thank Dragonis Prime for coming and joining me. Check out his YouTube channel, link in the description, and check out his fan fiction. He's writing his awesome Flash story right now. And apparently he said he's got some stuff coming up for Marvel for his YouTube channel. And guys, until next time, thank you all for tuning in for the 3rd year in a row for Marvel May. And until next time, guys, keep cool, and I will see you all you dino dudes around. Later.